Hey guys, what's up? My name is Jeffrey, and today I just want to talk about the different kind of things that have been changing for Shopify dropshipping, and I wanted to talk about what you should consider in 2019 in the e-commerce industry, and what kind of things that would benefit you. So I prepared a little PowerPoint for you guys to talk about the few things that are important to me, that I think are important, and I think that you should implement in your business, as I think these are the things that you should consider if you want to succeed in the long run. So I hope you enjoy. My laptop. And so yeah, as I mentioned before, I want to just go through very quickly this PowerPoint that briefly highlights, well, not briefly, but that highlights the couple of things that you should consider when running a Shopify business in 2019. These are very important to consider because, it will be sustainable and better for you long term. And yeah. So just a disclaimer before we start, what I say in this video isn't the only way and the only objective way to run a Shopify store. There are lots of ways that you can, improve your store and make it become sustainable. This is only stemming from my personal perspective and experience and opinions. So if you don't want to, you don't have to follow it. You can follow your own discretion. This is also not a step-by-step guide on how to build a Shopify store. If you want to build a Shopify store, there are tons of guides out there on how to do this. And even for the past couple of months or years, it's still the same because the fundamentals are exactly the same. Nothing much has changed. So this video is mainly, I would say, dedicated for those who already had an existing store and are looking to adapt to the current changes and have already found a product in mind to sell, or already have a winning product. And just make sure to watch to the end if you could, because I do cover most of the things you need to consider in order to succeed in 2019. So let's get to it. So the first thing I want to talk about is customer experience and how it's a first priority nowadays in 2019. Contrary to what people say, dropshipping isn't really dead, and I don't think it will die anytime soon. I think it's been around for decades and decades, and Aliexpress dropshipping has been on the rise recently, but dropshipping in itself, the business model, won't die anytime soon. But it is important to notice that in 2019, if you do want to build a sustainable business, you'll have to focus on a couple of things, and one of them is customer experience. So there are 4 ways here that I highlighted that you could improve. So first of all is custom-made packaging. What I mean is packaging that's unique to your store. Having packaging that's different from the traditional dropshipping products, having a unique brand logo, or having a more unique box, or something that's higher quality box. What this will do is increase the perceived value of the item, and you can justify increasing the price of the product once you have that. So it's going to give a better experience from the customer's point of view if they receive a package that's not basically the typical AliExpress package. So the second one is a customized thank you and confirmation emails. This plays into customer experience because you want to kind of build a rapport in the back end and build a more personal relationship and make it seem like you're talking to them one-on-one. That's always a good thing. It's what a lot of brands do, the real brands do, and it just makes things a lot easier and more emotional for the customer. So if your product is in high demand and you are doing decent volume, you found a winning product, I would advise you to order sample yourself and verify its quality. This is very important because the last thing you would want to do is to scale a product that's very, very bad quality, and you're going to experience a lot of refunds, a lot of chargebacks, and just bad customer service, and that's not what you want. So it's better to order the product yourself, verify the quality is good, and make sure you have that in place before you scale it to upwards of 4 to 5 figures a day. That's very important. So A lot of people also talk about faster shipping, which I think is a fair point to consider. But what I think personally is fulfillment centers like ShipBob and whatever isn't a must, though it could be a nice thing to do. What's more important in my opinion is to have a product that's good quality and that people like. Focusing on customer experience includes having good packaging as well, like we mentioned before. So as long as the product itself is good and the product arrives in a decent amount of time, it should be fine. But of course, it's always best to have shorter shipping times. But an alternative option to fulfillment centers, if you don't want to pay the extra cost, is you can always negotiate with your suppliers better shipping options for the product and ship it still directly from China. It's not going to be a huge difference compared to fulfillment centers, maybe like a week more, but like I said, as long as the quality of the product is good itself, then it shouldn't be an issue. So the bottom line is a good experience from the customer means a highly sustainable business. This will increase your average order value and your profit margins. You can justify a higher price, increase the perceived value of the items you're selling, and people will likely buy from you more if they trust you more. An increase in return and repeat customer rate. People will likely buy from you more if they've had a good experience, they like the product, they like the quality. Increase in lifetime value. People will just keep buying from your store. Like once you send an email sequence or two, showing them like a discount or something, they're likely going to buy a product again because they've known beforehand the product is good and that you're a trustworthy brand to buy from. This will gain a competitive advantage from your competitors selling the same products. Even if you're selling the exact same products, just because of the packaging and the customer experience, they are going to come back and buy from you instead. There's going to be less refunds and chargebacks because they feel no need to return the item because they really enjoy it, they really like it. And bottom line is it's going to increase your trust and loyalty if you have a good experience, leading to points 1 and 5 that we just mentioned. So customer experience is the big thing. So second thing is that I want to mention is moving out of Aliexpress as soon as possible. So one of the many things that you should consider is to source a high quality product. This can be validated through ordering the sample yourself, as we mentioned before, I think. And one way to do that, and the best way to do that, is to contact the supplier or your vendor or your agent directly. This is usually done when you move out of Aliexpress to find, the vendors and talk with them on another platform, which we'll talk about later. But sourcing agents are, the best way to go if you have a general store selling, gadgets and other trending products. It's going to help you reduce your shipping times and better prices and therefore better margins. And if you're in a very specific niche, I would find the right reliable supplier on Aliexpress and then move out of Aliexpress by contacting them on WeChat or Skype, and then just take the conversation out of Aliexpress. Because Aliexpress is kind of like an email system where it might take them a few hours to respond because ultimately it's not a instant messaging platform. So you want to move out of Aliexpress for conversing with them into, I suggest, WeChat or Skype. So this will make things more personal and they're more likely to attend to your needs, especially if you've had a winning product, you found a winning product and you want to work with them further. So the communication this way will be a lot easier and it'll be a lot faster. So yeah, anyway, you want to build rapport ultimately with your vendor and agent, and this is important because it will allow you to negotiate prices and let them be in favor of your business and of you and your business endeavors. And usually this is only done when you move out of Aliexpress. It's better to build rapport with them outside of Aliexpress and then fulfilling outside of Aliexpress, which we will get to soon. Also, another thing is that a lot of people don't mention is if you've been working with them for a while, you can actually get them to recommend you some bestsellers or some new arrivals to you, which may turn out to be winning products. So this could be another strategy or another option for you when it comes to finding new products to test and finding new potential winners in your store. So that's always a good thing. So another thing I want to talk about, and one of the most important things actually, is branding. Branding allows people to identify your store and create a loyal following on social media. The bottom line is it can justify a higher price point. As we just said before, the custom-made packaging, all that's actually part of branding. And branding is like an umbrella concept, which includes a good customer experience. So what branding will allow you to do is create a loyal following and get more organic traffic. So blah blah, we said number one, custom experience is one of the main components. Number two, custom made packaging, we mentioned that before. Having your own logo in your packages, that's always a good thing. People identify your brand more. But another thing is having original content. And what I mean is not your typical pictures of your products. People want to be buying into the lifestyle, into the brand, right? They want to get invested into the brand, and ultimately what you want to do is create a lifestyle or a vibe around your store. And how you could do this is you could find pictures that are congruent with your brand. So maybe in terms of lifestyle, in terms of vibe, so let's say for example your vibe is your style is like beaches and stuff like that, then you would find pictures that's surrounding that kind of photos, those kind of photos, and find inspirations that's surrounding that theme. If you don't know where to start, or if you aren't at that scale where you have original content, you could start off by websites like Unsplash or Pexels, to get non-copyrighted items and still trying to generate a lot of original content that's both high quality and thematic. Or you could just go to Tumblr or Pinterest, but usually those are copyrighted. It's someone else's photo, so if you can, it's best to credit the original poster, the OP, if possible. So another thing is store design and everything else in between. Making sure there's congruency between your store design and everything else on social media. So this could mean anything from your logo to the color schemes and the style and the structure. So you want to make sure everything is congruent and make it seem like it's actually in unity. It's a whole brand in itself, and not just a single social media page or a single store. So once you have a good branding in place, it will actually allow you to have a lot of influencers in your niche to reach out to you personally, and they want to collaborate with you. This will help actually with your content, creative content as well, which we talked about number 3. This is how you really create the creative content, original content, and increase your organic following, and you increase your organic traffic as well. So what you can also do is, once you've had your store social media profile built up, you would want to use your own hashtag, your own name. This can be important because this is, again, organic traffic, and people actually who've bought from your store before can use the same hashtag, and then you can actually find different kinds of photos from that hashtag, which could then lead to your own creative content as well. So definitely that would be a good thing to consider in the long run if you want to post original content that's non-copyrighted and that's original and specific to your own store. I would also advise you not to use general store type names like trendy, things with words like trendy, gadgets, best deals, trendy deals, things like that, because it's been too overused in this industry and people just know it's just a run-of-the-mill general store. So it's best to use more original names, more unique names, something that's easier to identify with, that's unique and that's different from the other general stores out there, or branded stores, dropshipping stores. So next we want to talk about fulfillment. This is once you have found a proving winning product. The prerequisite is you've kept in contact already with your supplier, you know, as we mentioned in the AliExpress, moving out of AliExpress slide. So for fulfillment, you want to move out of 𝗿𝗏𝘀 as soon as possible. You know, 𝗿𝗏𝘀 is good when it comes to you know, fulfillment, as it always has been. But it is mainly for beginners ultimately who are just starting off. You know, it's the way to go. It's the way that's been taught. But once the orders do start ramping up, it is inefficient because you have to keep fulfilling orders one by one, and it's just a waste of time, and it's time you don't want to invest in. Even if your orders don't reach a certain threshold, you should still be sending CSV files to your supplier and your vendors, because this is easier for them to process and fulfill as well. You know, you don't have to go through it individually. They can see all the orders in one file, and it's just easier for communication. For those of you who don't know what CSV file is, it's basically like a sheet, an Excel sheet full of all the customer's information, including what they ordered, their order number, their address, and you know, their shipping address and all that stuff. So basically all the information that's important for sending it to your vendor or your agent. Not to mention that if you've reached a certain limit for 𝗿𝗏𝘀, it will actually prompt you to upgrade your plan. As for most fulfilling softwares, I think, like, you know, Shopify. So this is just a necessary recurring cost. You know, you could be spending that money more on, you know, marketing and anything other that's important that will help you generate more income. So I mentioned here that customer packaging won't be in your favor anyway if you're fulfilling from AliExpress, because if you're moving from out of AliExpress, you're going to be contacting them. You're going to be contacting the suppliers directly. You're going to get their contacts and their emails and whatever, and their ID, Skype ID, stuff like that. So while you're at it, you can just talk about your packaging and stuff. But if you're just keeping the fulfillment through 𝗿𝗏𝘀 and AliExpress, then you're not really going to be, you know, building a rapport with your supplier or your agent. So you might as well, while you're doing the fulfillment outside of AliExpress, talk with your agent, talk with your supplier, and talk about custom packaging. Alright, so clean website. So those days of spamming your customers with numerous trash badges, timers, quantity breaks, and shaking cart, they're long gone. You know, people have been kind of accustomed to these kind of websites, especially in the States, because, you know, a lot of people buy and shop and advertise to the States. So they kind of know what a typical dropshipping store looks like, you know, in addition to the name, you know, the trendy gadgets, trendy deals, stuff like that. There are going to be a lot of features that are very similar, like, you know, trust badges, scheduling, quantity breaks, you know, buy 2 get X off, and like a cart that's shaking, you know, the same color as well. So what you want to do in 2019 is to have a clean website. What that means is having your website that's simple, that's minimal, and easy to navigate. It's easier for customers to browse through your website. It's not overcomplicated, and there shouldn't be a whole bunch of features that's hindering them from, you know, having a good shopping experience. Ideally, you don't want to give off a dropshipping store vibe. You know, as I mentioned before, all the other stores look very similar to each other. You want to look like a store that's actually a retail store, a brick and mortar store that has been, you know, established for years and years. Who knows what they're doing. That way, customers can trust you more. They're more likely to trust you more because of all that. Also, make sure the sales funnel is easier to follow and should minimize the abandoned cart rate. You know, if you don't have a lot of things that are, you know, kind of distracting them from entering the different stages of the sales funnel, then that's going to make them abandoned cart rate like a lot less. Another thing goes without saying, you should always have a white background, you know, no matter what. People are used to seeing white backgrounds, and even for websites that's not a store, they've been using white backgrounds. So I don't see a reason to not use a white background. You know, things like pink or like black is it's unnecessary basically, and it gives us a very amateur vibe, and that's not what you want. So the second thing is having a clear call to action button that stands out. but making sure that the colors are not too bright or obnoxious. What I mean is, colors like bright pink or like bright green or like, things like that along the brighter spectrum. So you want to have a color scheme that's aligned with your store, as we said before in the branding section. This could also mean the color of your call to action button. Usually the good colors are anything that's neutral. I would suggest something like black, something like that's more standard, like like a military green or like a crimson red, something like that. So bottom line is having a consistent color scheme and having a clean website. If you want some inspiration, you can always look at top brands within your niche. So let's say if you're in fashion, you can look at all these other stores like Zara, Fashion Nova, and things like that. So yeah, I think that's about it. If you like this, be sure to subscribe and consider liking it video if you like, if you got value at all out of this video. I do put a lot of effort into planning these videos and making sure they're as detailed as possible. Yeah, so comment what you think. If I missed anything, I would like to hear that, and I would also like to hear if there's anything else that you want me to make next. But yeah, thanks for tuning in and going through this video with me, and I hope you enjoyed it. Alright, see you next time.